Hey guys, working on a 2014 Chevy Equinox today. It's got the 2.4 engine in it. The customer was stating that the vehicle would not turn over, and they brought it to an independent shop and they did a compression check on it, and they found cylinder 1 had zero compression. So the vehicle was towed to the dealership. Went ahead and checked the oil in it first thing on these Equinox. Wasn't showing anything on a dipstick. Took a quick look underneath to see if it blew the rear main seal out, which we talked about in previous videos about the PCV system getting clogged and causing excessive crankcase pressure and blowing out the rear main seal. Didn't see anything like that. Went ahead and hooked the scanner up to it just to do a quick scan, and we had a P0011 intake camshaft position system performance bank 1. Then we had a P0172, which is a fuel trim system rich bank 1. And then we had a P0300, which is a random misfire. We found that the engine would turn over, so it wasn't seized, but you could hear a bunch of slapping and ticking noises while it was turning over, so we knew the timing chain was pretty loose on it. So we ended up pulling the valve cover on this thing, and you can see here how the timing chain is all stretched and it's hitting the upper retainer and slapping against that. That's why we were getting that P0011 code. Yeah, looking at this valve cover or the cylinder head on this thing, you can see here how it's got excessive sludge and varnish buildup. It almost looks like a waste oil furnace inside of this engine on this thing. You can see here I took my pen here and dug out a bunch of sludge from the valley of the cylinder head. You can see the throttle body in this thing is all gummed up too. Also recovered a piece of timing chain guide from the chain slapping it and breaking the guide. You can see what's left over of it right here. Looking at the back of the valve cover here also, this thing is totally sludged out, black. This vehicle's got around 102,000 miles on it. Didn't have any service history at this particular shop on this vehicle. The customer hasn't provided any service history yet to look over. But you can clearly see that they went most likely by the oil life monitor, which I do not believe in. I remember back taking the oil life monitor test to the GM training. I think it was like 2004, and I just had a good laugh because I knew that was going to be a joke later on down the road if GM implemented a system of an oil life system. On the bottom of this technical service bulletin, it says, before starting the oil consumption test, verify that the ECM has the latest calibration to adjust the oil life monitor to a maximum of 7,500 miles. Well, I got bad news for you guys. 7,500 miles is way too much to change your oil on these things. And I consistently see these engines that people have gone by the oil life monitor system between 7,500 miles to 10,000 miles on oil changes. And they look like this engine on the inside here. Oh, they're all gummed up and sludged out. Going back to the image here, you can see. Even going over the class action lawsuit here, you can see how they acknowledge that problems caused by the oil life consumption defect in the class vehicles and GM's implementation of a defective oil life monitor system. And it just basically states that the system monitors engine conditions such as revolutions, temperature to estimate deterioration in oil quality and the remaining useful life of the engine oil following an oil change. After each oil change, the oil life monitor system must be reset manually following each oil change. In each class of vehicle, which is the Equinox and the GMC Terrain with the 2.4, because the oil consumption defect. They keep talking about the oil consumption defect, which is the pistons and rings in the PCV system. I don't know if I 100% buy the oil consumption defect, because I'm seeing oil consumption across the board. It doesn't matter if it's Toyota, Honda, Nissan, BMW. I mean, the list goes on and on. All the car manufacturers are going through this oil consumption issue right now. And I think it boils down to the 7,500 to 10,000 mile oil changes. Because you can't tell me that all the manufacturers have defective rings and all the manufacturers have defective PCV systems. It's kind of hard to believe that. So they're just basically saying in each class vehicle, because the oil consumption defect causes the engine oil to be consumed at an increased rate, the oil life monitor system fails to advise the drivers when insufficient oil remains in the vehicle. The oil life monitor function to measure remaining oil life following an oil change based upon the regular estimated rate of oil consumption is undermined by the oil consumption defect, thereby rendering the oil life monitor system useless. But I think if the oil life monitor was set to no higher than 4,000 miles, I think we'd have a different outcome on these engines. I don't know if there's been a test done, but the testing that I have done on this oil life monitor system, I've seen it go as far as 12,000 miles before it goes to 0%. So you know it's damaging the engine when you're going 10,000 miles or more between oil changes. The oil breaks down, you get condensation in the oil, and it's a lot less effective on lubricating those internal parts that need to be lubricated. Then it says, in fact, the reliance on the oil life monitor system instead encourages owners to drive with a false sense of security for thousands of miles after their oil levels have fallen to dangerously low, because the oil life monitor cannot display the correct remaining oil life based upon the increased defective oil consumption rate. So, basically they just keep driving. It's not doing the job that it's supposed to be doing on trying to measure the quality of oil, let alone the quantity. It doesn't do that at all. Then going back, like I said a while ago in the technical service bulletin, in this class action lawsuit, it says GM recommends Equinox owners check engine oil level and oil life percentages, change engine oil and filter if needed every 7,500 miles, according to the owner's manual. Well, 7,500 miles is way too much. Everything I'm seeing on these 2.4 engines, it always seems like it's over 80,000 miles. So you get that prolonged buildup of oil, sludge, and varnish over time because of those extended service intervals. Very rarely that you'll see something fail under the 3-year 36 or the powertrain warranty, which is 5 years 60. It seems to be up over that 80,000 mile, 100,000 mile range. Like this one's got 100,000 miles on it. So it's a slow accumulation of the sludge and varnish on those pistons rings. And then they get stuck and then they start pushing oil. I will be posting more of every make and model with oil consumption issues So make sure you guys subscribe and hit the bell to get notified when they put up new videos. So I personally, I do not like the oil life monitor system, and I do not go by it. I always recommend every 3,000 to 4,000 miles on oil change intervals, and I've always had really good success with that. Like I said, I will be posting up all makes and models of oil consumption issues, where it's Toyota, Honda, Nissan, Volvo, Ford, Chrysler, you name it. And they all have these oil life monitor systems implemented by the manufacturer to try to sell cost of ownership. Hey, look, you can own this new vehicle and you only got to service it every 10,000 miles. And they just pray and hope that it's going to get out of the powertrain warranty, then the customer's on the hook for the bill. I believe it's even more critical nowadays to change your oil. That's why we call it preventative maintenance. You want to try to prevent these long-term engine failures from arising. And even more critical nowadays is service for sure, because of the high efficiency oils, the 020s, the 520s, these very lightweight oils that seem to break down even faster than your conventional 530 and 1030. So guys, I just definitely recommend, changing oil every 3,000 to 4,000 miles to keep that engine going. Thank you guys for watching, and have a great day. Don't forget to subscribe and hit the like button, and also that bell to get notified when I put new videos up.